Robert Smalls, the man who stole freedom for himself. Imagine this. It's 1862, the height of the Civil War. The American South is divided. Enslaved people live under brutal conditions, and the Confederate forces guard their territories fiercely. In the middle of this chaos, a young man named Robert Smalls dares to do the unimaginable. He doesn't just dream of freedom, he takes it. Smalls commandeers a Confederate ship, navigates through dangerous enemy waters, and delivers himself, his family, and others to safety. His story is more than an escape. It's an act of heroism that changed history, yet so few know his name. Today we honor the legacy of Robert Smalls, a man whose courage, brilliance, and unshakable determination redefined freedom for himself and for generations to come. This is the story of the man who stole freedom for himself and changed the world forever. Robert Smalls was born into slavery on April 5, 1839 in Beaufort, South Carolina, on the plantation of Henry McKee. His early life was marked by hardship, yet Robert possessed an undeniable spirit. As a child, his mother often took him to witness the horrors of slave auctions, teaching him that his fate could be much worse. She instilled in him a deep understanding of the cruelty of his condition and a burning desire for freedom. At the age of 12, Smalls was sent to work in Charleston. There he proved himself an exceptional worker, taking jobs on the docks and aboard ships. He started as a deckhand, learning the intricacies of navigating rivers and harbors. Over time, he became an expert sailor and engineer, earning the trust of his masters. But this trust would one day become their undoing. Even though his labor enriched others, Smalls' knowledge of the sea and ships was his greatest weapon. With every tide and every journey, Smalls prepared for a day when he would claim the freedom he had always dreamed of. By 1861, the Civil War engulfed the nation. Charleston, South Carolina, became a hotbed of Confederate activity. Robert Smalls, now an experienced sailor, was assigned to work on the CSS Planter, a Confederate transport ship. Smalls studied the ship closely, its crew, its routes, its weaknesses. What the Confederates saw as trust, Smalls saw as opportunity. In the early hours of May 13, 1862, Smalls and a small group of enslaved crew members set their daring plan into motion. The white Confederate officers had left the ship to spend the night ashore, assuming the enslaved crew wouldn't dare rebel. Smalls donned the captain's hat, took the wheel, and gave the signal to depart. The crew's lives hung by a thread. Each checkpoint was guarded by Confederate forces, and any mistake would mean death. Smalls mimicked the captain's mannerisms and gave the correct signals. At Fort Sumter, the most dangerous checkpoint of all, the sentries waved them through. By dawn, the CSS Planter approached the Union blockade. The sight of a Confederate ship sent alarms through the Union fleet. Smalls quickly raised a white flag of surrender, hoping they wouldn't open fire. When Union sailors boarded the ship, they were met by a sight they couldn't believe: an enslaved man delivering a Confederate ship loaded with weapons and military secrets into Union hands. Smalls' plan worked flawlessly. He not only secured his freedom, but delivered a vital ship to the Union cause. The bold escape was nothing short of genius. News of Robert Smalls' escape spread like wildfire. Across the North, newspapers celebrated his bravery. He became a symbol of what enslaved people were capable of: courage, intelligence, and determination. The New York Times called Smalls' actions one of the most remarkable events of the war. Robert Smalls didn't just free himself. He proved to skeptics that African Americans could fight for their own freedom. His heroic act gave the Union military confidence to recruit formerly enslaved men into the fight. By the end of the war, over 180,000 African Americans had enlisted, turning the tide of the conflict. Smalls' escape and contribution were not just an act of rebellion. They were a statement to the nation and the world that freedom is worth any risk. It showed that the oppressed would fight for justice and equality. After the war, Robert Smalls continued his fight for freedom in a new way. Using the reward money from his escape, Smalls purchased the very house where he had once been enslaved, a powerful act of justice and redemption. But Smalls wasn't done yet. He entered politics, becoming one of the first African Americans to serve in the U.S. House of Representatives. Representing South Carolina, he fought tirelessly for civil rights, public education, and fair treatment for African Americans. Robert Smalls' influence helped shape the Reconstruction era. He reminded the world that freedom is not just a right, it's a responsibility to fight for others who cannot fight for themselves. Robert Smalls' story is one of courage, resilience, and unmatched determination. From an enslaved boy to a heroic sailor and later a U.S. Congressman, his life serves as a testament to the power of bold action. Smalls didn't wait for freedom. He seized it, showing the world that one person's bravery can inspire an entire nation. Robert Smalls proved that even in the darkest of times, heroes rise. Let his story remind us that courage, perseverance, and hope can create change that echoes for generations. Like, share, and subscribe for more untold stories of history's greatest heroes.